On May 1st, 2025, we have celebrated the 20th anniversary of Open Document Format as a standard. It's a milestone for document freedom and digital sovereignty. We all started, almost all started, with analogic documents, paper, a lot of paper, photocopies, printed paper. But with the internet, the paradigm has changed. The analogic documents of the past, which were focused on the printed version, where the value was retaining the visual aspect, and the documents were created for others to read, have been replaced by digital documents, which represent the future. They are focused on exchange of contents. The value is preserving contents over aspect, and the documents are created for others to add value. Although this is the future, we still are culturally close to the paper document. People still think that looking at the document is more important than preserving the contents or having the chance, a possibility of adding the contents without losing the past and controlling the contents. So the digital documents can be used only by the people who have access to the decoder. This is where the standard is important. The standard is the decoder, represents the decoder. So the primary purpose of a digital document is to use it in the future. And the digital document should be readable by others as long as possible and ideally forever. A standard is basically a document which is established by consensus and approved by an official body. In the case of ODF, it has been approved first by OASIS and then by ISO, and provides the guidelines for others to create something which can be shared on a common base. Standards are all around us. They are in houses, they are in we use them as garments. Shoes numbers are standard. Tissues are standard. And even the size of rings is a standard. And we have standard for pressure, we have standard for water, we have standard for many things which are around us. And today, it would not be possible to think about a world without standard. Product could not work as expected and might be of inferior quality. And without a standard, the customer would be restricted to just one manufacturer supplier. Monopolies would be based on standard, on non-standard. While standard foster competition between different bodies, different organizations, different products. When the decoder is proprietary, the reality is that in a digital document, the contents are at the mercy of the owner of the decoder. This is what the majority of people does not understand. They are using a proprietary document format where there is one company who is deciding about the decoder. And they decide about the user right to access and read the document in the future. This is terribly dangerous for a digital society. If the code is without decoder, in history, our ancestors were inscribing on a hearthstone because that they were hoping to preserve the expression for posterity. But the problem is that they preserved the code but not the decoder. And if the language is not used, it's like a stone. And while using a language means being capable of interpreting the language over and over again. This is, of course, I'm kidding when I say this is a Microsoft 365 screenshot, but I'm not far from reality. This is an inscription of Xerxes the Great near the Van Fortress in Turkish. It's written in Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian. But today we have lost the key to the three languages, and as the calligraphy is the same, you can think that this is the same language while they are three different, and it's really difficult to understand the contents, which are the same repeated three times. Unfortunately, if you leave to a company the same possibility of controlling the decoder, it's like writing on a stone instead of creating a digital documents. Data have evolved. In the past, they were the byproduct of processes, and today they are a product itself. We create a huge amount of data. In 2025, we will generate an estimated amount of 175 zettabytes of data. It's a number so large that it's even difficult to write it. And data centers and the public cloud will store 51 and 49% of these data. And what is frightening is that 92% of all these data are stored in servers owned by US tech giants. These are the data owners. And you can probably, looking at this, you can say, and then it's not a problem if they store the data. Let's look at the issue from a different point of view. This is a map of the world based on the projection that is using the surface of countries to give an idea of their size. But if you use population, the map changes completely. You see that China and India are bigger than they are in reality. Japan is where the human density is very high, is bigger than it is in reality. Italy, my country, is bigger than it is in reality because we have a very large density. And on the contrary, Russia, Canada are very small because they have a very low density, and therefore the population is small in comparison to the size of the continent, of the Earth. Look at Australia. It's so small, and while it is almost a continent by itself. If we look at the same map based on export of software licenses, you see how big the United States are, how big Ireland is. Ireland is exporting software licenses to all of Europe because the tech giants are based there as they pay less taxes. And if we look at the import of software licenses, it's exactly the opposite. The states are disappearing. Ireland is huge because it's importing software to export software. And all the other countries are big. Africa is not importing software. There is a huge issue of copied, cracked software there. But look at Japan, how big it is. Look at the other countries. Look at Indonesia, how big it is. Look at Malaysia, how big it is. Look at New Zealand. which is bigger than it's in reality. This means that we have lost the control of our data, and can we regain it? The only chance that we have is to regain control of our data in order to decide ourselves, the creator of the data, with whom to share it, with whom to create and add value to the data. Luckily, the HTML standard show that a document standard is possible. HTML is online document, is a standard for online documents, has been protected by the attempt of derailing it. People will probably remember the time where Internet Explorer was trying to redefine HTML to make it proprietary. But luckily, Tim Berners-Lee, which was at CERN at the time of the launch of HTML and is now at the World Wide Web Consortium, has been able to protect HTML and keep it independent from companies. An open standard is something which is supposed to protect user. A monopoly in technology, it arises de facto or is defined de jure, but full competition is ensured in the market for products and services if you follow standard. Results when access to technology is available to all players on equal terms is what we look for as users. Neelie Kroes, she was the European Commissioner for Competition, defined the open standards as when open alternatives are available, no citizen organization should be forced or encouraged to use a particular company's technology to access government information. Decouple the contents from the company's technology. Document standards, unfortunately, are large because documents are very complex. So document standards provide guidelines with rules and options for special cases. The document standards are the cornerstone of content interoperability. Without document standards, we don't have interoperability. Today, there is only one document standard which respects the user and is open document format. The standards, unfortunately, may be hidden to users, as in the case of electricity. Proprietary plugs hide the standard voltage. At same way, document format standards are not visible to end user because the software shows only the surface of the content. But if you look at the inside of a document, you would understand immediately which is the good standard, and is open document format is a true document standard which offers freedom of choices to user. ODF characteristics are ODF is simple, solid, robust, and secure, is consistent across operating system. You can get the same format independently from the operating system. Is based on existing ISO standard, including, for instance, the Gregorian calendar, which is not respected by Microsoft, by Excel in particular. And ODF is predictable and consistent. It means that if you write the same documents on three different computers using three different operating systems, the document will be exactly the same. This is not the case if you are writing a document using Microsoft 365 on three different computers. Open document format is independent, is interoperable, is neutral, and is perennial. It is compatible, the current version is compatible with prior version. It's not related to a single software. The user can decide which software to adopt. So ODF was born as a format which is vendor neutral and has been from the ground up, is using existing standard. When the standard has been released, software have been forced to change the format of their documents to respect the standard. This means that the user today have one standard for all the different software that are writing ODF. A standard has a life cycle, and its approval has to respect a process which has been fully respected by open document format. In 1999, StarOffice XML file format was developed. And in 2000, when OpenOffice.org and OpenOffice.org XML project were born, the format became an open format. And there was a first draft available of that document format. In 2001, it was implemented, and in 2002, the supporters of the format decided to have an independent body, OASIS, to maintain the standard. So OASIS created a project and a technical committee and the objective was to create an open XML-based file format for Office application. And the requirements were quite clear: suitable for Office documents, retaining high-level information necessary for editing the document, friendly to transformation, and using existing standard where possible to avoid reinventing the wheel. In 2004, Draft 1 and Draft 2 were released, and 2005, the standard was released. It was May 1st, 2005, 20 years ago. The next year, in 2006, the Open Document Standard was approved by ISO. So at the time, the reference implementation was OpenOffice, and OpenOffice had to change to become compatible with Open Document. So new XML namespace, new schema, and removal of inconsistencies. The standard-based backward compatibility is what users should look for. ODF is backward compatible with past version of the standard format and forward compatible with future version. ODF cannot be backward compatible with any pre-standard proprietary documents because those proprietary documents were including binary and proprietary blobs, which cannot be are not acceptable in a standard. And this is what has unfortunately happened with Microsoft so-called standard format, which is entirely proprietary, because they still include binary and proprietary blobs after almost 20 years after the standard was approved. They basically ignored the standard and maintained what was the transitional or the bridge format between the proprietary and the standard. They maintained it for years, and then they completely abandoned the standard. Today, they only support the non-standard proprietary Microsoft format. A completely different stack for standard file stack. You have the ODF is based on a number of standards, ISO and W3C standard. The backward compatibility Microsoft is bragging about is the theoretically infinite. It is a gimmick to deceive users, because if you tell a person that today's document is compatible with a document that was pre-standard, that means that the version today is non-standard, because it's still including all the binary and proprietary blobs that should be deprecated by the standard. Office OpenXML, the name chosen by Microsoft for its proprietary format, provides infinite backward compatibility, and as such is a pseudo-standard and a proprietary format. And you see that they have proprietary interface to the personal computer, proprietary Windows software development kit. And the specification is huge because they reinvent the wheel every time that is possible. They do not support other standards, and as such they have to recreate formats which have already been created and standardized by organizations like OASIS and ISO and W3C. So the standard, which are supposed to support and make interoperability possible, in this case are completely ignored. A standard must work in a multi-vendor, multi-network, multi-application environment. And this is what ODF is doing and Office OpenXML is not doing. Interoperability is easy. Lego is a proprietary product, but it's totally interoperable. Today, my nephew works with the same bricks I was using over 60 years ago, because the standard has not changed. And possibly in 60 years, my nephew's nephew will be able to work with the same stuff, because the Lego standard will maintain interoperability. So interoperability is the capability of exchange data and enable the sharing of information and knowledge. This is what we, the user, should ask today. We should ask the possibility of sharing the contents, improving the contents, and owning the contents after they have been shared and improved, because they are based on a standard. So standard and interoperability are going hand in hand. We need interoperability, not intraoperability. And interoperability is based on open standards, while intraoperability is defined by a dominant provider. So today you have a software which provides intraoperability, Microsoft 365, and you have a format that provides interoperability, Open Document Format. Thanks to interoperability, users have much greater choice of products. Manufacturers can leverage economies of scale, and interoperability is crucial for the success of modern technologies. Open document format is fundamental for interoperability because it's the only standard format. This is what ODF allows. Software can exchange documents because they're based on an interoperable file format. Unfortunately, the majority of government enterprises and also individual users rely on proprietary software because they are used to it, because the history has allowed one company to become a monopolist in the area of personal productivity. But unfortunately, having one monopolist in control of user data put all the data at risk. And this is not me telling it, but is confirmed by sentences from the Court of Justice of the European Union and the EU Data Protection Supervisor. Not many people know that in January 24, over 1 year ago, the EU Data Protection Supervisor has told the European Commission that the use of Microsoft 365 should not be allowed because it puts the privacy of data at risk, and data that are shared by documents in governments are user data, are citizen data. What would change with using free open source software? Free open source software for desktop productivity would automatically use open standards and will make a giant step ahead in terms of interoperability, in terms of users being in control of the documents and the formats. Unfortunately, politicians are not technology experts, so they see big technology company as part of the global system, and they try to help the company because they think that this is in the interest of the people. They don't see free open source software as part of the global system, and as such they ignore free open source software as the real potential solution for the digital transformation process. And this is why today proprietary technology and user lock-in are preferred to open technology and standards. We need to regain control of our data. We want to decide who to share our data with, under which rules, when, for what purpose. We can decide based on trust, but if the data are under a monopoly, then we lose our collective intelligence. Switching to open source software and open standard is the only choice. Switching to open document format is the only choice for us to be in control of our digital future. It's clear that we will not be able to have our digital sovereignty without an open document format. Is not the software. The documents are driving the digital sovereignty, because if you control the documents, you control what you are creating and what you are sharing with others. And thank you for listening so far, and see you in some event somewhere in the world.